So, I think the Daily Express is having a moment this week because they've written a couple of opinion pieces and the conclusion is the same. So, regardless of the nonsense they write early, the conclusion is the same, that Harry and Meghan should return to the UK as working royals. So, this particular opinion piece follows some of the horrible headlines that the Express ran this week. So they ran headlines like toxic Prince Harry and Meghan banned from major royal event, i.e. the wedding of a cousin that nobody in the UK can pick out from a lineup. Harry and Meghan suffer humiliating blow. Again, another, we don't know. I think it's to do with the wedding, i.e. they're not invited to the wedding. Harry has just been dealt the final nail in his royal coffin, again to do with the fact that the other girl handed her husband the hammer and the nail. Yes, and the other brother, again, when he's king, he's going to be very tough on Harry and Meghan. And also there was another headline, Meghan torn apart with blunt 3-word takedown. Again, you get the picture. Negative, negative, negative. We don't want Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan are terrible people. Da, 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 da. But now they then decided to crown all that with a piece, an opinion piece, saying that Harry and Meghan are missed, that they could have been a powerhouse for the royal family, and that they have a relatability that is refreshing, and that they must return as working royals. I don't even know where to begin. Should it be, I told you so, I told you so? Should it be, I told you thusly, I told you thusly? I don't know. Because these people are so, bipolar, schizophrenic, I don't know, whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, you keep abusing Harry and Meghan day in, day out, and then you do an opinion piece saying, actually, by the way, despite all the abuse and despite all our efforts to sabotage all their commercial activities, and despite our efforts to ruin them, stochastic terrorism, it's called, despite all our efforts and despite every day blasting them, we do want them to come back and rejoin the royal family because they could have been an asset and they could have been, in their words, a powerhouse. So, I think the argument that they're making is not unreasonable because Harry and Meghan are effective working royals.
Well said, Elizabeth Solaru. You ever meet somebody who spends all day telling you they don't care about a person and then somehow knows every single detail about that person's life? That's exactly what this situation feels like. One day the headlines are screaming that Harry and Meghan are finished, done, over, yesterday's news. Apparently they're irrelevant, unwanted, and destined to fade into obscurity any minute now. Cool, so why are we still talking about them every 5 minutes? Make it make sense. Because the very next day, those same outlets suddenly switch jerseys and start saying, actually, the royal family could really use Harry and Meghan. Hold on, I thought they were a disaster. I thought they were the apocalypse with a Netflix account. Now they're valuable again. These people change positions faster than somebody trying to find a comfortable sleeping position on a hot night. It's honestly hilarious. Imagine your boss calling you useless every morning, then by Friday saying, you know what, the company really needs you. Sir, pick a lane. Regular people can spot this stuff from a mile away. We don't need a media debris. We've dealt with enough nonsense in life to recognize when somebody is making it up as they go. And that's what this feels like. The story changes depending on what gets attention. That's it. Today's villain becomes tomorrow's missing hero. Then next week they're the villain again. Wash, rinse, repeat. The crazy part is that Harry and Meghan seem to be trapped in a bizarre media gym membership they never signed up for. No matter what they do, somebody's getting a workout from it. If they speak, it's a scandal. If they're quiet, it's a scandal. If they attend an event, it's a scandal. If they stay home, somehow that's a scandal too. At this point, they could spend an entire week watching movies and eating popcorn, and somebody would write a dramatic article called Royal Shockwave: Sussexes Consume Snacks Amid Growing Tensions. Breaking news: a couple bought popcorn. Alert the nation. What makes people laugh is that the contradiction keeps exposing itself. If Harry and Meghan truly had no value, nobody would be arguing that the monarchy misses them. Nobody would be saying they bring star power. Nobody would be saying they connect with younger audiences. Nobody would be discussing their global popularity. The conversation would be over, finished, done. Yet here we are, years later, still talking about them, still debating them, still writing endless articles about them. That's not what irrelevance looks like. That's what influence looks like. Look, you can agree with Harry and Meghan or disagree with them. That's your business. But one thing nobody can seriously deny is this: when they showed up, people showed up. And not the kind of crowd that's there because they have nothing better to do. I'm talking about people who are genuinely excited, people standing for hours, people bringing their kids, people hoping for a handshake, a smile, a quick conversation. That's not something you can order online and have delivered by public relations. If it were that easy, every public figure on earth would be doing it. The thing about Harry and Meghan is that they never felt like they were reading from a script written by 12 people in a boardroom. They talked to people, they laughed with people, they listened. Sounds simple, right? Apparently, it's harder than it looks, because we've all met those people who walk into a room and somehow suck the oxygen out of it. Harry and Meghan were the opposite. They brought energy. The event wasn't just happening around them, they became part of it. That's why people connected with them. Regular folks can spot fake from a mile away. We've had enough bosses, politicians, influencers, and salespeople trying to sell us magic beans. We know the difference between somebody checking a box and somebody actually caring. And that's what stood out. When they visited charities, people paid attention. When they highlighted a cause, conversations started. When they met communities, those communities felt seen. That's a big deal, especially in a world where everybody is fighting for attention. What's funny is that years later, some people still spend all day arguing about Harry and Meghan. Think about that. They stepped away ages ago, yet somehow they're still dominating conversations, still making headlines, still getting discussed on television, still trending online. That's not normal. You don't spend years talking about people who have no impact. Let's be real for a second. The royal family is starting to look like a football team with half the bench missing. A lot of the senior royals are getting older, the workload isn't getting smaller, and the public isn't handing out automatic respect anymore just because someone has a title. Those days are gone. People want personality, people want connection, people want to feel like they're looking at actual human beings, not walking museum exhibits. That's where Harry and Meghan stood out. Love them or hate them, they knew how to get people engaged. They could walk into a room and make an event feel alive instead of feeling like a history lesson with refreshments. And here's the funny part. Some commentators spent years insisting Harry and Meghan weren't important. Then they turn around and wonder why the monarchy struggles to connect with younger audiences. Well, there's your answer. You don't throw away two of your strongest communicators and then act shocked when fewer people are tuning in. Regular people understand this instantly. If your workplace is already short-staffed, you don't celebrate losing experienced employees. You feel the pressure. The monarchy isn't immune to that reality. The world has changed. Audiences have changed. Expectations have changed. And in a time when people are craving authenticity more than ever, it's hard to ignore the fact that Harry and Meghan brought something different to the table. The bigger question isn't whether they mattered. The fact we're still having this conversation years later answers that one for us. The funniest part of this whole debate is that some newspapers spent years telling everyone Harry and Meghan were making a huge mistake by leaving. Now, suddenly, they're saying maybe they should come back. Wait a minute. Come back to what exactly? From where I'm sitting, Harry and Meghan look like two people who quit a stressful job, started their own business, and discovered life exists outside the office. Most regular people understand that instantly. If you finally escape a workplace full of drama, politics, and endless headaches, the last thing you want is a call from management saying, "Good news, your old desk is still available." No thanks. What's changed is that Harry and Meghan aren't waiting around for permission anymore. They choose their projects, they choose where they live, they choose how to raise their kids, they choose what causes they support. That's a level of freedom most people dream about. And honestly, that's why all these "they should return" articles feel so strange. The real question isn't whether Harry and Meghan would be useful. The real question is why they would give up the independence they've worked so hard to build. Because once you've tasted freedom, it's pretty hard to get excited about going back to meetings, rules, and everyone telling you what you can and can't do. Harry and Meghan have already proved they can create opportunities outside the royal bubble. Years later, they're still making headlines, still attracting attention, and still moving forward on their own terms. That's not losing. That's building your own lane and refusing to hand over the keys. And judging by everything they've built since leaving, I don't see them looking in the rearview mirror anytime soon. And that's the tea, folks. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Miles. If you enjoyed that or felt personally attacked in a good way, smash that super thanks and support the channel. You already know we keep it real here. See you soon.